LiberalViewer presents.
So on the issue of student loan debt in the United States, Bill Maher had a guest on, Matthew Segal from this ourtime.org group that looks at issues important to young people. And I thought he had an interesting analysis of why it is that we have the student debt problem we have in the United States now, starting basically back with Ronald Reagan. And I'll show you that clip and talk about it a little more after you see it here.
Are upset about this issue.
Klein represents a system where the federal government is making billions of dollars off of student loan interest rates. They're profiting off of students and paying down the debt.
How much do they profit?
Now, 30 years ago, they profit $180 billion. But $180 billion they profit.
Wow.
Now, 30 years ago, we had a system where there were more grants than loans. Public education was a public good in America, like many other countries. And we realize we're all better off when we live in a country with less stupid people.
Right.
So,
who can't get behind that idea?
At a certain point, we shifted and we said, you know what, you go to college, you're getting rich. So why should the federal government be in the business of getting young people jobs and to make money? That should be a private commodity that you finance with debt. So now we debt finance education. And this whole system is just totally screwed, because what happens is kids get out of college, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in debt. They can't get a job. The interest on that debt compounds, and then they're underwater for years.
And that's a really good argument, and especially the part about how it's a public good for us to have less stupid people, and that's why we should have more grants than loans, and we shouldn't load up students with debt. And the second clip I want to show is actually not from the HBO broadcast, but from their overtime show. They take internet questions and they do this extra segment at the end, and they've actually started uploading it immediately to YouTube. And this is a clip that has Joan Walsh and Wendell Pierce, who's from The Wire, and also Ray Donovan and the movie Horrible Bosses. Then the main part of the clip is Republican Representative Jack Kingston, who tries to respond to the argument that you saw there from Matthew Segal, trying to claim that it's poor people subsidizing rich people. But there are a couple of big flaws in his argument. You can see Joan Walsh tries to point them out, but doesn't really point them out that well, and I'll discuss what they are after I show you that clip here.
You brought up 1980 before. In 1980, I paid $350 a semester at the University of Wisconsin. The school, the UC system here was free until Ronald Reagan decided those uppity kids shouldn't get to go to college for free because they were misusing their education.
Reagan said that the federal government should not be in the business of making young people rich and subsidizing their profits. So
completely turning on its head the entire...
And that's why the GOP is very good at rhetoric, because they loved Ronald Reagan for all of his rhetoric. And he spoke to poor white folk. That's who the GOP folks are, poor white folk, because you might become a member of the rich white guy club.
Are you saying, I want to make sure I understand, you're saying...
So that's the largest portion of poor people here.
My learned, college-educated panelists here, are you saying a truck driver who makes $30,000 a year who did not go to college should subsidize some future doctor and lawyer who did?
Yes.
Because
we have actually,
and you know what? They're subsidizing their own children.
Because we actually decide that the values in our country believe that...
Because it pays itself back many times over.
The blue collar should subsidize the white collar.
We should
all.
No, white collar should subsidize the blue collar. And vice versa. Everyone should.
The rich should pay much higher.
Truck driver who makes $30,000 a year, should he subsidize the future doctor and lawyer?
So yeah, that argument from Republican Representative Jack Kingston there is kind of stupid. First of all, if you look at the tax code, a trucker making $30,000 a year, if he has at least one child, he's going to actually be eligible for the earned income tax credit. So he'll be getting money from the federal government. He won't be paying taxes. And even if he doesn't have a child, he's like part of Romney's 47% who don't pay federal taxes, and they're the takers or whatever. All of a sudden now a Republican cares about those people. Also, the kids who would be getting the subsidized education are probably the ones who need it the most, are the sons and daughters of the people making $30,000 a year. Not to mention that it will increase the economy so that this trucker will have more goods to transport, and a better economy means more work for truckers, and maybe he'll need services of this doctor whose education he helps subsidize, and we all benefit from less stupid people, like Matthew Segal said. So that was like a really bad rebuttal from Jack Kingston, I think. You can let me know what you think down in the comment section. Do you agree that Representative Jack Kingston's argument about poor truck drivers subsidizing rich doctors and lawyers is seriously flawed? And more generally, aren't arguments for loans over grants unpersuasive because they weigh down students with debt instead of investing in their futures to benefit everyone?
YouTube, you decide.